Okay, told you we saved the best word for last, and if you look back on his head, we a lot of stuff you never seen before. Coach Pruett, if you're the football coach at Marshall, you mentioned I was a pallbearer, honorary pallbearer, all the sports captains were, with a plane crash, and also came back when it happened. And when you go into class, like kinesiology, I don't think it had any sense. I got a D, I'm sure. But anyway, and there was 41 guys in there on Friday, and there was about 13 gone when you're 23. And that was a horrible, horrible thing, and Buddy's right. I encourage everybody to do that. And it was the movie, I give it half. I don't know what Coach Pruett would say, but Red Dawson's, I coached his son in Little League, and he's still challenged that. But anyway, when I looked at this class, I said, this is the best class we ever had. And Wayne and I were always trying to figure out the time to get that Coach Pruett would come, because we knew he wrestled for Woodrow, and I saw him wrestle in the conference that had at Marshall. But he was always had something else to do. But anyway, tremendous guy, always was a great guy, and I've been through all the coaches Marshall ever had, and some think they're better than the end of the world. Some people think they're really good. This guy right here is a very, very good, humble man. Bob Pruett.
I had a really good speech, but I had it in another sport coat. What an honor it is. It is just awesome to be in a room with great coaches, outstanding athletes, beautiful women. I mean, I'm telling you the truth, it's just wonderful. And what an honor it is to get an award like this in your home state. Grew up in East Beckley with a man Bennett back there. He knows. Went into downtown back, East Bay, and loved it. Got to go to Marshall University on a football scholarship. So I really learned how to coach when I went out for wrestling. I think that, we've won a lot of football games. Football, I often say, is not a game for well-adjusted people. It really isn't. How many times a week do y'all line up 10 yards apart and run into each other hard as you can, and then jump up and say, good hit? But I really think, and my buddy Roger Jefferson back there, he was in the Hall of Fame, and we were teammates. Great, great coach. But I really think wrestling, having coached it, having participated in it, having officiated it, having run state wrestling tournaments, having two sons who were West Virginia state champions. One of them was the outstanding wrestler, won 79 straight matches. It is a challenge, and you have to be fundamentally sound, and you have to be technique oriented. You learn so much because you have to start with the basics, teach them what to do, how to do, why to do, when to do, and then the most important part of it. How many people the good Lord, do you think the good Lord's in this room? Raise your hand. Well, that's strong belief now. Nobody's seen him in 2,000 years. I get down on my knees and I give him money. I pray to him, I keep feeling, I keep touching. Now that's belief. If you're going to be a good wrestler or good at anything, you have to believe, and that's the kind of belief you have to have. That's what we told our kids at halftime. In the East Carolina game, we're down 38-8. So guys, you don't believe, we got no chance. No chance. But you got to believe in your coaches, you got to believe in your teammates, and you got to believe in yourself. The true measure of a champion is his ability to repeat his previous accomplishments. The true measure of the champion is his ability to repeat. When you got a champion that repeats, that's a champion. You know, Bill Archer, I remember when I came back, I was a high school coach in Virginia, and I came back here to take a job at Sonny Randall as an assistant coach. There's a $10,000 paycheck to come back. First person I called was who? Bill. Had two sons in the West. I wanted to go to the best wrestling program here. Where did I have to move? Well, we couldn't find a house we could afford in that area. We had to go to Barbersville. But we wanted him to go to Bill because I knew Bill, and I knew the program, and I knew the type of coach he was at the time and has been, and his son-in-law was tremendously. I bring my grandson down when he was wrestling, 4-time state wrestling champion in North Carolina. Every Christmas, or in his when my sons were wrestling, and I'd come home for Christmas. Before we came here, I took them to Ditch Manning's at Shady Springs High School. Let him work out there because he was a good coach. He got a good work ethic. They competed. Wrestling's tough. And I tell you the real reason that Roger Jefferson can relate to this, and he don't even know what I'm talking about. He and I did the same thing. One thing that neither one of us, I know we think about it time. I was a young wrestler. Roger was a year ahead, 2 years ahead of me, I think. We both had the privilege of wrestling Harry Huska, the wrestling coach at Ohio University. He was an NC2A champion, an Olympic champion. I mean, he was a great wrestler. Here I am in a sauna because I lost out from playing football to 177, having a sweatsuit in Gallatin Hall, spitting into a cup to try to lose 3/4 of a pound to wrestle a national champion who I just read an article in Sports Illustrated that he had boa constrictors around his neck. And we'd go out to it's all true. When we go out to the match, he don't even line up. He don't come out with his team. Remember that? He didn't even warm up with them. He came out by himself one time. You think he's psyching somebody out? Now why am I trying my best, and all I got to do is take a sip of water and I don't have to wrestle him? That doesn't make sense. But wrestling has really improved in the state of West Virginia because of you. All of it. Your energy, enthusiastic, everything about you. You're great coaches. Great coaches. Do what you do and start with the little ones that don't know what to do and bring them all the way through. And my boys, I got to know Billy Martin when I was a wrestling coach and a high school football coach in Virginia. And I ran the tournaments the big tournament. Billy, his son, wrestled. Now he had all these NC2A champions. You know, he invented the Granby roll and all that stuff, and the turn-in and all that. So I said, Rodney, he spent 3 weeks on his strawberry farm. Go down there, basketball week, pay for it, then he work on the farm on weekends, stay over 3 weeks. My kids, I take the other kids down there. As you know, and I know, you can gain a full season in the summer, doing the tournaments and getting in the car and going to War, Virginia, or somewhere down there that you can get in a wrestling tournament. But I really, really admire and honor you. You know, as much as I admire you, the person I admire most is my wife, Elsie. Elsie, stand up here. Next December, we'll be married 61 years. He says 19 good ones and then many later. Got my grandson Bob, his wife Amanda, and my great-granddaughter here to come and see this because this is something that's really special. I've been fortunate enough to live my dream. When I walked across the stage at Marshall University in 1965, my dream were all almost fulfilled. I wanted to be a football player, I was. Had a contract with the Dallas Cowboys in my back pocket. And my dream was to come back and be the head football coach at Marshall. You go through a lot of things to fulfill your dream. Came back in '79, was an assistant coach. Realized I was going to have to leave to come back. I got in, was here for 4 years, and then went to Wake Forest University. As a defensive coordinator all through all these times. The first year you saw in Marshall, I was a defensive line coach just out of high school, and then the next 3 years I was a defensive coordinator. Coached the secondary, coached defensive backs, and then I was at Wake Forest. Try to make this thing short, but I was at Wake Forest in 1990. The head coaching job at Marshall came open. I wanted to be this, my chance. And I go down at the national convention. Lee Moon was the athletic director, who was a dear friend. He interviewed for the job. He interviewed 4 people. He told me, Bob, he said, you're a good coach. The Marshall's coming on now. Just Coach Johnson just taken him to a runner-up in the national championship. So we need somebody just playing on TV, going to bowl games. But Wake Forest, we were playing so many homecomings we had to take our own float. One day we were in homecoming, we thought it was a deep bus. But anyhow, I come back home and I'll sit there this. I looked there and I said, honey, if I can't get the head coaching job at Marshall, I can't get one anywhere. Did get offered the job at Sheriff. But Coach Dooley came in at Wake Forest and kept me as his coordinator, so I stayed on and tried to live my dream. And I said, we gotta leave. I said, we love it here in Winston-Salem. But I gotta play on TV. Playing bowl games, I said, we're doing a good job here. We're above 500, but we're just not what he's looking for. So we pick it up, and we go to Ole Miss. I was a secondary coach. We runner up first year. I think we played Liberty Bowl, and then we played the Gator Bowl. We got that. Now, I looked at some things that are going on at Ole Miss that we need to leave on. You all understand what I'm referring to. So I got the job, didn't want to go to New Orleans, got the job as a defensive coordinator at Tulane University. A year later, everybody got tired of Ole Miss, so we got out of town quick. There 2 years, and a job at the University of Florida opened for a secondary coach. I'm driving to the state of Florida and pick up my cell phone and call the office, the Florida football office, and Coach Pruett hasn't answered the phone. I had met him at Wake Forest because he was at Duke. It would be 3 out of 4 years, and I was the coordinator. He's a big pass guy. And I was a secondary guy, so we had some success. I saw in the paper there that he said he's complaining about the way the secondary was playing. And I said, Coach, I said, I can coach those DBs for you now. I said, they won't throw it over my head. 2 days later, he calls me and wants me to come in for a visit. I go in, and the guy in Arizona, and I didn't know I was interviewing for the defensive coordinator job. I was just trying to get on. Because I'd always wanted to coach at Florida. I had 3 brothers in there. Elsie tells me, don't you go down there and take his job before you talk to me. I said, okay. So I'm there. Coach Spurrier is funny. My interview was on the golf course. True story. He likes to play golf. Everybody knows that. So we go up to his country club. He's got me a pair of shoes and some clubs. We're playing 18 holes. During that time, he's talking to us and everything. I never had such a good meeting. That's the way he talked to her. I never had such a good meeting. Okay. You know, so we play 18. He said, we got to play an emergency 9. That's another 9 holes. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 7 strokes. We'll play for $2. It's okay. So we come to number 9. Okay. And I'm 5 strokes. I'm still up. He's only beat me on 2 holes. I got 5 strokes on the last hole. Well, I 7 cut. This assistant coach wasn't going to beat him. You know. Unfortunately, you know, the guy from Arizona, who's their team, their defense was led the nation in defense. And we just lost to Florida State about 70-7. You know, I said, I don't know. So I'm in the room talking to him on the phone with the offensive line coach. He said, I was going to hang on. You know. So I get somebody rings in on the phone. I said, "Where take it?" I said, "It was Coach Pruett." "Yes, sir." "You want to be defensive coordinator?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Oops." And that's how it happened. That's how it happened, because we'd done good against him. And then 2 years later, I come back. We won the SEC championship twice. Played great defense. Go to the Sugar Bowl, played the Fiesta Bowl against Nebraska for the national championship, and didn't play very well. To be honest with you, our players quit at halftime. They got arguing among themselves. About whose fault it was. Someone asked me, said, "How in the world did you get them to come back?" 38-8, one of the top 10 comebacks of all sports. I learned a lesson. The way you become a better coach is you learn from your losses, don't you, coach? You learn from your losses. I looked at him and I walked to him. "Don't you quit. You better not quit. You quit on me. You think it's bad now? You quit." I said, "I can live with whatever you you do, but don't you quit. If you quit on me, it'll be bad. It'll be bad. You better not quit. You understand? You can't quit. Don't you quit on me, Diane. Don't you quit on me, Big Big. Understand? They didn't quit. They didn't quit. What we were doing, the best players don't make the best team, but the best team always wins. We had the best players, but we were not the best team. You're the best team, you'll win. They just kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. Scored 2 or 3 times on defense, 2 times on defense, chipping away. Imagine if the good Lord had to intervene. We're on the 30-yard line coming out. There's 30 seconds to go in the game. We're 4th and 30. 30 seconds and no timeouts. We throw a pass, get the first down, go down with 8 seconds left in the game. We score. Tie game. Extra point, missed the extra point. What you teasing me, Lord? What are we doing? So we come back and win the double over. That's what I think you learn from wrestling. Great wrestling. Son wrestled at West Liberty University. On scholarship there before you got there. My oldest boy left on scholarship. My grandson at NC State on wrestling scholarship. I didn't have a wrestling scholarship. I just wanted to compete. Well, I was going to tell you that in the off season we go up in the wrestling, whatever wrestling. Compete. Compete. Because you have to be a man, and if you quit at any time in a wrestling match, you're dead. If you relax any time, you can load for football. In wrestling, you better be right all the time. All the time. It's really an honor. It's a privilege. I love the state of West Virginia. Coach Neal and I go all over the state trying to do good. If you have something you don't need a thing, if you have something we can help you with, you just call. Okay? Cell phone 304-633-0205. Got a card if you need it. We don't need anything. We don't charge anything. We just want to help us get better. Help our state get better. Because it's a great state to live. Can't believe I'm here. The people of West Virginia let me live my dream. Our dream. My grandson's here, Bob Pruett. He, born in Mississippi, to come home to West Virginia to work. He's an attorney. So my neighbors, I want to thank all y'all for coming together. This is just a thrill. Who wouldn't be thrilled today? Bill, you've done wonderful. Wayne, great job, all of you. This is super. Thank you, thank you. God bless. Everybody stand up real quick, real quick. I know you didn't stand up real quick. Okay, let's do this right here. I'm going to tell the kid over here $100 I get a standing ovation.